Okay, so I'm new to all this. Um, and I really don't feel like using my computer or whatever. I gotta get a camera. That's neither here nor there. Anyway, so story time. Trying to think where I should start. Let me just start it yesterday. So I mentioned that I'm with the hothead. He has a temper out this world. Now, just to be clear, he is not. There's no DV. I don't even know if I gotta be. I'm so used to TT, but I'm not sure if I have to even do code words or whatever here. Anyway, there's no DV. But he's a very angry individual. When he gets angry, he gets loud, he gets to yelling, he gets to cussing, and I'm not scared by any means, but I don't like it, and I think it's massively disrespectful and extremely unnecessary. Um, like it's unnecessary. So yesterday, we got into it. I feel like we are often getting into it, and not to be someone who does not hold accountability and doesn't know when she's causing problems, but a lot of the times we end up arguing or having big disputes because of his temper. He refuses to see that is a major reason why things go left. And the same way that I'm talking to you all right now is exactly how I'll be talking to him. No lie. And so yesterday, another thing I will say is part of yesterday was my fault by my word choice. Okay. So I will say that. And then I went in to try to apologize for that and be like, okay, I see how that could have been upsetting, my word choice. I could have used a different word. And anyway, let me tell you what happened. So we were making dinner for Thanksgiving. It was in the morning, and then he was showing me this car he was looking at, and I was like, "Can you afford that? Like, are you sure you need to get that?" And he was like, "Yeah, I can get like whatever car I want. Like, it's just gonna be high because of my credit is not where I want it to be." And the reason I said that is because he had an issue before where he got like a higher dollar type car, and it became a problem. So he said that he was like, no matter what car I get, the car note's gonna be high, so that's not a problem. So I might as well get the car I want. And I'm like, okay, so fine. I was like, all right, well, because it's like I said, okay, well, okay, and then he was going on and on about it, and he was just like, you know, um, I can get whatever car that I want. It's like I can afford any car that I want. It's gonna be high no matter what car I get. Yada yada yada. That wasn't the reason why my car note was high. It was high because of my credit, and it's gonna be high regardless. And then I said, okay, in that case, then I like it. Which it was a nice car. I wasn't against the car at all. I just was thinking about the financial aspects of it. And so, I said, well, okay. In that case, I like it. Well, he was still talking about it, and he was still going on and on and on about how, it's not the car. I don't know what I'm talking about. This, that, and the other. And I said, okay. Like, why are you still yapping about it? And that was my word choice. Okay. Now, I was wrong. But in the moment, I was feeling like he claims I do when he says I'm doing that to him. So I'm like, you feel like this is the point where you feel like I'd be yapping. So I used his term. Basically, he uses yapping. So he should have noticed right there that I don't even use that word or that term. And so that's not how he took it. He got angry. And so, just a second. I gotta check on my daughter. Okay, where was I? Okay, so anyway, like I said, I acknowledge I was wrong for saying yapping. So anyway, but like I said, he kept going on and on and on. So I was like, all right. I said, okay, but I mean, you're still going on and on and on about it. And I said, okay, in that case, I like it. So what more are you wanting as to why you keep talking about it? Then he was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. I try to change things. I try to do right. Like, you want me to talk and communicate with you, like you have been asking. I try to do that and it blows up in my face. So whatever, you give me like the third degree, and you know, what's the point? And I said, so and how do you think I felt all this time when I've been trying and I've received negativity from you when I've been trying to make things better and when I've tried to do better and this, that, and the other. And he was just like, so how long are you going to bring it up and throw it in my face? And, so this, that, and the other, just going on and on and on. And I'm explaining why I said that. Because when I try to do something different, when we have a conversation about changes that we're going to make, and the next time that we come across that situation, I am making those changes or exemplifying the changes that we've agreed to make, then he's like, oh, so because you do it one time, that means that you've changed and you're doing things different. He was like, this could be fake. You've only been doing it one time. You know what I'm saying? Like, hardcore grills me about trying to make things better and do things right the way that or sticking to our agreement, basically. He's like, made fun of me for doing it. He's throwing it in my face for doing it. And he was like, so one time is supposed to change all the other times? Like, because I would say, okay, I understand that I've done it, but I'm not doing it now. He was like, now you're not doing it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of stuff that I've gotten from him. We agreed to not name call. We agreed to communicate in a calm manner, in an even tone, not yelling and all that stuff. And so when I've done that too, then he was like, like I said, so I said, I would be like, well, I'm doing what we discussed, that we were going to do. So I'm trying to do that. And he'd be like, oh, do you want a cookie? That type of stuff. Very condescending, very, I say immature in situations, stuff like that. And that's what I've dealt with. Now, I wasn't doing that to do it to him. I said it because he was just going on and on and on. And I'm like, okay. I said, okay. You know what I mean? And with him, it doesn't just stop there. He says what he wants to say, and then he gets louder and louder and louder. And he's like yelling at that point and like screaming at the top of his lungs almost. I'm exaggerating. I'm sorry. Not screaming at the top of his lungs, but yelling really loud. And, for men, their voices carry. It doesn't take a lot for them to yell, so to speak. But anyway, all things we've agreed to not do. I have a minor child in the house. No, she's not 5, but she's still a minor child, and I don't want her dealing with, this guy like yelling and stuff all the time. So he's supposed to be settling down on it, and he still did it. So I said, fine, done. So then I say, okay, I realized I made a mistake by saying yapping, so I apologize for that. I didn't have to use that word. I could have chosen a different word. I said, but you were going on and on and on and on and on. And so that's how I felt at the moment, but that wasn't right, and I apologize. And he was like, well, yeah, I do feel like that's where things turned for me because I was only doing what you asked and so on and so forth, right? And I said, okay, cool. I said, I just want... He was like, but I'm trying to listen to you. He was like, I'm trying to do things differently. And I said, that's great. I said, but, like I said, how do you think I felt when you have said to me or thrown it in my face about me trying to make changes and stuff? And he was like, this isn't about you. This is about me. And like flipping out again. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. We can't, like, it's the minute he gets irritated, the second, I won't even say minute, the second he gets irritated, the second he gets upset, it's like that's it. Though it's over. And I just don't think that it should be all that. You can be upset and still communicate in a mature manner and speak like mature adults. Like we're not 2, we're not 10, we're not 20, you know what I'm saying? So it's like this is ridiculous that we can't even have a disagreement, even if we do disagree, like civilized adults. And so oftentimes I'm left having to just shut things down, not being able to say anything that I want to say because he's also really, really bad at cutting me off. When he's upset, all that matters is what he has to say. And then when he said everything he wants to say, because he'll talk over me, I'll be talking, he'll cut me off and talk over me, and I'm not going to get louder, so I just stop talking. Then he just walks away. And it's like, it's so frustrating because, just a second. Okay, it's so frustrating because I'm not giving him that same energy. Number one, I'm being respectful for the most part in the conversation. I can acknowledge my wrongs. I give him time to speak, and I want equal time to speak. And in that point, he's super controlling the situation. And then I'm left with all this stuff that I want to say, or with no resolution because he says everything he wants to say, and I'm like, well, what? Well, I'm like, and here he goes again, blurting stuff out, cutting me off. And then he gets so mad that he's just done talking. He walks away. Like if we're in the bedroom, he'll walk away, close the door. If we're somewhere else, he'll just walk away, close the door, or he'll walk. Like if we're downstairs, he'll walk away and go to the room. Like he just leaves, and it's like I wouldn't be right if I followed him, right? So what do? But he also is very, very bad at coming back. So initially, I used to struggle really bad with letting him, chill because I knew he wouldn't come back. So I'd be like, all right, so is now good? Like, are you okay to talk? And he never comes back. He never comes back to say, okay, I'm cool down. Let's finish talking. He never does that. It's always on me. Or we have to drop it and then we can't talk anymore at all. And it's super frustrating. Anyway, that was just a smidgen of the issues. But you cannot tell me that's not frustrating that someone constantly cuts you off, constantly cuts you down, constantly yells and screams and pulls a temper tantrum is what I call it. And then it's like, I've said all I need to say, it's over, I'm done. And then that's it. And unless I want to get into a shouting match with him, I need to stop talking because I have to get louder if I'm going to. Because when I have like raised my voice a little bit to try to keep talking, he just raises his more. It's almost like a bully to a degree. And it's like, you don't see what you're doing? Like, come on, you don't see that you're over talking me? And then even though I keep talking because I am literally still talking, it's like he completely misses the point that my mouth is moving. And yours is too, but mine was moving first. So frustrating. And so he's very hard to communicate with. And then he blames me because he got upset that I started it. He's like, you're always starting stuff. You're always starting stuff. Like, and I'm like, how did I start anything? Because I asked you a question. Or say, for instance, I'm like, hey, can we talk about something because it's something bothering me? I want to kind of hash this out or, express how I'm feeling. And then he'll say, well, if you wouldn't have started stuff, we wouldn't have had to go through this. And I'm like, how did I start stuff by just asking a question? Anything. Everything upsets him. And my thing is, I'm like, you're in a professional space. He's in a professional career. And it's like, when you get mad at work and you're frustrated, you don't act like that. And granted, I know home and work are different. But that same respect that you give to your job or that same respect that you give to your boss, you should give your mate, if not more, that and my whole point with by mentioning that is I'm sure you get frustrated at work. I'm sure that things irritate you at work, but there's no way you can lash out the same way. So whatever ability you use at work to keep your cool, I need you to use that here. And that's the reason that I compare them. And because he'll say, am I just supposed to not be myself? Am I just supposed you just want me to be a mute? And I said, no, I don't want you to be a mute. I just don't like you yelling and cussing extensively and cutting me off, because he used to also hit stuff. So many things have been broken in the house. It's ridiculous. And it's like, really, you had to throw that? Like, really, you had to hit that? Like, it's outrageous. Like, that's to me is super immature. There's no reason that two grown adults can't just have a conversation. And you're like hitting walls and throwing stuff and breaking glass and just nonsense stuff. And it's like, that's wild. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, that's a quick little story time. Kind of let y'all know the dilemmas that I'm going through. And I love him. I do. I recently did like some hotline thing where they supposedly will talk to you if you're having issues and stuff like that. And they were telling me that this is mental abuse and it's emotional abuse, and it's they said mental and emotional. What type of abuses are there? Mental, emotional, and physical, right? They said there was another one too, like not cyber, like electronic abuse, something like that. I was like, whoa, that's wild. But yeah, they definitely said it's emotional and mental abuse. Then he's controlling. And I feel that way, but it was different to see it in writing and to hear someone else say that that's what these things are, that they're literally classified this way. And they were like, it instills fear. And I do have a fear, not a fear of him like hitting me or anything like that. Like I said, no DV. But I do have a fear of when we communicate, it's not going to go well. So many times I don't say nothing. I just deal with whatever he's dishing out. And because I can't talk to him about anything. Unless it's just surface stuff. Like, hey, how was work? How are things going? How you feeling? How are you doing? General things, totally fine. But about us or about circumstances, situations, nope. They just can't be spoken about. And that's... welcome to my world.